Hello everyone, it's Christy here with another video for Two Scrapbook Friends. And today we are going to be using paper from a photo play collection kit called To the Moon and Back to create a quick and easy card. The list of supplies is listed here. I will pop that up again at the end of the video so you can take a screenshot if this is something you would like to try. Please keep in mind you don't need to have this specific collection pack in order to make this card. I know a lot of us have collection packs centered around certain occasions like Valentine's Day, Christmas, St. Patrick's Day, birthdays, and there's usually a few elements that we have left over from making scrapbook pages or other projects. So I really encourage you to think about cards you can make from your collection packs. So we are going to be making a standard A2 portrait card today. I've taken one of the 3x4 cut aparts. We come in peace with the little aliens on it. I thought that was pretty cute for our greeting. I've got a piece of the coordinated pattern paper. We're going to be doing some stenciling on a piece of the Gina Classic Crest Solar White in the 80-pound cardstock. And then for our card base, as usual, we'll be using the Gina Solar White Classic Crest in the 110-pound weight. So I've already cut that and scored it at 5.5. So the final card dimension is 4.25 by 5.5 inches. Then within this collection pack, and you can see all of the elements of the collection pack here, I had this piece of paper left over and it's coordinated with that stripe that we're going to have on our card. And I thought this would be really fun to make a custom envelope. So I'll take you through that process as well, but as we work through our card today. So again, these collection packs are really fun to be able to make cards with and to celebrate many different things in our lives. And today I'm using this space-inspired collection pack to make a card to celebrate Star Wars Day. I have a lot of Star Wars fans in my life, myself included, and I thought it would be fun for people to get a greeting to celebrate May the 4th and wish all of my fellow Star Wars fans a May the 4th be with them. So again, we're making that A2 portrait size card with the collection pack from Photoplay. I'm going to be using some Nouveau drops. We've got Auburn Pearl and Ebony Black for some embellishments on the card, and we are also going to be using a stencil from Tailored Expressions. This is a stars stencil from their new stencil set, which has 12 different stencils, basically themed for each day of the month. And I thought the star one would be cute to create a little bit of a sky background just on white to add some interest to our card. So we're going to have that on either side of the pattern paper that we'll put on our card. And I initially thought I would do some ink edging, but I think with the stenciled background, that's going to be enough on this card. So I don't think we'll worry about the ink blending today. So we've got some other standard supplies. We've got our spatula to be able to apply the glitter gel, scissors, tweezers, bone folder, purple tape, glue, foam tape, mono sand eraser. We haven't talked about this in videos, and if you can see, my mono sand eraser is well used. These last a long time. I've had this one for several years, and it is a great tool for when you make mistakes or get little blemishes on your paper. You can actually sand them right off, and your project will be good as new, and no one will ever know. So if you don't have that in your tool set, you should consider adding that to your cart for your next order. We're going to be using the Glitz Glitter Gel from Gina K Designs in Iridescent. And this is a really cool glitter gel. Just going to give it a stir here with my Nouveau spatula. If you haven't used the Glitz Glitter Gels, they come in so many lovely colors and they really add some lovely shine and glitter to your projects. Just going to scoop that little bit up there. And let's get our piece of the Gina Classic Crest in the 80-pound ready to go. Now we're not going to stencil the entire background here. Number one, the size of that stencil does not cover the entire background. But the other thing is I only need the stars on the parts of the card that are not going to be covered. So we only need them here and on this side. We don't need to worry about the middle. So that actually works out great for using a stencil of this size because then we don't have to worry about it. So I'm just going to get this set up on the left-hand side, grab some purple tape, You could also, if you want, use Pixie Spray, which is a repositionable low-tack adhesive that you can spray onto the back of your stencil. I found with this star stencil, it's pretty forgiving, and I didn't need to use the Pixie Spray on it. So I just went with the purple tape. That really met my needs for this stencil. So I'm going to scoop out some of that iridescent glitz glitter gel, and we're going to get that down onto our paper. Now, as I mentioned, you're not going to see this part of the paper. It's going to be covered. So I am not going to obsess over any of the glitz glitter gel getting on that section of the paper. I think, you know, Tim Holtz in his videos, I think his saying is, you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. So if I get any of the gel on that section of the paper, I'm not going to throw a fit. We get what we get and we'll deal with it. Not a big issue. So you can see this glitz glitter gel just glides over top of this stencil. And I absolutely love that. You could, if you wanted, take your stencil pal from Thermal Web and smooth over this stencil as well. But I really find this spatula with the glitz glitter gel does the job. Okay, so we've got that side done. I'm going to carefully lift that stencil up and pop it on the other side. And I'm just going to bring in my paper again to make sure that I've got enough of the card base covered here. And it looks like I could go a little bit more over. So I'm just going to take off that purple tape, move our stencil a little bit closer to the middle, get the purple tape down again, adhere that to our media mat. Great, and get ready. Just going to put this paper back over here so I don't lose track of it. I think when we're crafting, I know my scissors tend to grow legs, and my scissors are my tweezers. I think those are the two things that often grow legs on our craft tables, and you know, we we can never find where we last put them. So again, just going over this stars stencil from Tailored Expressions with the glitz glitter gel. Smoothing that down. This is going to create just a bit of tone on tone stars in our background, just to create a little bit of interest on the white background, which will be pretty fun on our card. So I'm just going to scrape the excess back into our jar here. And I love this spatula for getting all of that excess gel off. Very, very little waste, which is awesome. So we'll close that up, and I'm going to grab a couple of wet baby wipes so that the glitz glitter gel doesn't harden on my tools. I'm not going to wash them right now. I'll wash them later. And I find if you put the stencil and your spatula into a wet baby wipe, just fold it over, then it doesn't get dry and crusty on it. So I'll wash that later, but I know that it won't get all dried up. So you can see we've got our glitz glitter gel here on our stars. Oh, I just love that shine. And you can see there's a little peak on this star right here. Just gonna take the tweezers and take that off. And that looks so good. I love that. Now, the other thing about the glitz glitter gel, it does not take too long to dry. This will be dry, oh my gosh, half an hour at the absolute most. But in the interest of time, I did do another panel earlier today so that we didn't have to wait and that we could just continue with our project. But you can see these are done exactly in the same method. So this is the dry one. This one I'm going to set aside so that it can dry up and I can use it later. I'm going to give the media mat a nice wipe down here. And I'm going to bring a paper towel in as well because I want to be able to work on it right away and I don't want our project to get wet. And it sounds like we are squeaky clean and are ready to go. So I'm going to bring in our card base. And again, this is the Nina Classic Crest Solar White in the 110-pound weight, so nice heavy duty card base. And I'm going to use my tape runner to adhere this panel to the front of our card. This is the exact same size as the front of the card, so 4¼ inches wide and 5½ inches tall. So I'm making sure that I'm at the top of the card here, and we're just gonna pop this down, make sure everything is lined up. So you can see there's a couple spots where that glitz glitter gel is just popping up a little bit over the edge. I'm not sure if you can see it totally, but this is another great use of the Mono Sand Eraser. Just run it lightly all along the edges, and it's going to make it nice and flush with the card, so you don't get any ridges sticking up from the dimension of the glitz glitter gel. Okay, so now we are ready to bring in our pattern paper and our 3x4 cut apart. So I really liked this rainbow stripe, and I thought, you know, there's a couple different ways we could put this on our card. We could put it on this way, but I thought there wasn't enough contrast on the pattern paper to the cut apart card if I put it on this way. So I really liked when I turned it so that the darker colors from the aliens were picked up in the stripe and you could see more of those. I thought that was a little bit nicer in terms of the overall design. So this is what we are going for in terms of placement. So I'm going to get some adhesive. We're going to start with our tape runner. And I'm going to add a little bit of liquid glue as well, just because of the dimension of the glitz glitter gel. I want this to adhere nice and flush to our card panel. So we're going to put that liquid adhesive on just so that we know it will stick really, really well. So I'm going to grab my tweezers. Oh no! I don't think this is reason to panic, but let's grab a baby wipe. And, you know, you may have heard me mention this before, but one of the great things about the Lawn Fawn liquid adhesive is that it dries clear. And a lot of this area is going to be covered with our paper anyways, so there's no reason to start over or get upset or have a catastrophe. So there we go. We're gonna work with this. Oh, sorry about that, everybody. Okay, so now let's get back to putting this card together. I'm gonna line up the end of our pattern paper nice and flush with the top of the card. And we're just gonna bring in the T-ruler to make sure things are nice and straight here. I think we're pretty good. Yeah, that looks great. Oh, for a second, I thought I put the pattern paper stripes down the wrong way, the way that I didn't want them. And that would, you know, kind of be par for the course of how this card is going right now. But I did it right. So we're going to bring in some foam tape on the back of the 3x4 cut apart, just to give a little bit of dimension on that greeting. I think it's fun to, you know, pop up certain parts of your card elements, just add a little bit of interest to them. And I like to have good coverage of the foam tape, just so that things don't get squished in the mail. And, you know, they stay nice and the integrity of your card is protected. So we're going to pop that release paper off. And as you've seen in other videos, we're going to put a little bit of liquid glue on the back of the foam tape. And that gives us the wiggle room in case we want to straighten out the 3x4 card. It also, as you saw earlier, adds an element of risk to card making when it flops down on your project the wrong way. So I want to make sure that I have some white space on the right-hand side of the card. So that's something that I'm keeping an eye out for as we pop this little cut apart down. I want to make sure there's a little bit of white space available and that we're mindful of the margin at the top and the bottom. So we've got our little band of white space there. Looks like we just want to move a little bit to the left here. I could see a little bit more of that teal stripe popping through, so I'm just going to wiggle that over. And again, if we hadn't put that liquid glue down, it would have been really difficult to do that. So really, I cannot say enough good things about this Lawn Fawn liquid glue. I mean, it dries clear, gives you the playtime that you need. It's really fantastic and a great tool and great resource to be able to have in your craft stash. So now we've got our Nuvo drops in Auburn Pearl and Ebony Black. And I think I actually might just go with the Ebony Black. I think it might be too much with the two colors, but we'll see. One thing to do and to note with your Nuvo drops, if you haven't used them in a while, it's good to have some test scratch paper or, you know, things you can test them on. I've just got that, you know, release paper that will be going in the garbage. So I'm just going to test them down here to make sure I've got the right consistency in my Nuvo. And this looks really good. If I don't get rid of this paper, my fingers are going to be a magnet to it and we're going to have a problem. So we're going to get rid of that. And we're just going to put the Nuvo drops on the eyes here to give a little bit more dimension to this card. So I really like to work with the Nuvo drops. They can be a lot of fun in adding some really cool elements to your cards. I think Christina did a video on these a while ago where she used them through stencils, which is absolutely amazing. So if you haven't checked out her video on that, you should give that a look. Really, really cool. Just gonna pop some dots on the antennas as well. And then we're going to let those dry. So always good to have a spot where your Nuvo drops can dry so they're not going to get smushed. So I'm going to set this over here and we're going to get working on our envelope for our finished card. So I'm going to bring in the envelope punch board. This is from We Are Memory Keepers. I'll tell you a little tip when I'm making my envelopes. I usually make standard A2 size cards, but as you know, we put a lot of dimension on our cards sometimes. So when I am going through the measurements on the We Are Memory Keepers board, I do not make the 4.5 by 5.5 A2 standard envelope because I think it's a little bit tight for our cards when they have dimension. I go to the next size, which is 4.5 by 6, which means we need our paper size to start at 8.5 by 8.5. And I know it's really hard to see the dimensions here. You can always go online and check those out. So I'm going to, actually I'm not sure which paper I want to show on the outside. I think I want this paper to show on the outside. So we'll start here with our scoring. On that size sheet that was below, one of the things that it told us was we need to start our scoring at 3 1/4. So what that means is you line up along this grid to 3 1/4 and you make your first line with your bone folder and you press, and that's going to make the first notch for your envelope. Then what you do on your second turn, so you take your paper, you turn it counterclockwise, you line up this little point here with the line that you just put in your paper with your bone folder. You do not line up to 3 1/4 anymore. That was only for your first cut. You'll see it again for the third one, but for the second one, you line up this pointy part to the line that you just did. And you make your second line, press, you've got your other notch out. You do the same thing here. You'll see this one does line up to the 3 3/4, but the best thing to do is always line up the pointy piece with the line that you just popped onto your paper, and you will have no problems. So we're just going to do this last one here, and then we're done with the punch board. So you can see there's our little pieces. Get those out of the way. And then we want to make the actual envelope. So all you do is fold in those pieces into the center and get a nice crease with your bone folder. This Teflon bone folder from Lawn Fawn is the most fantastic tool. It does not leave any shine or anything on your paper. It works so well. So one thing I also like to do, sorry, I am going to bring in the punch board one more time. You could use the punch board for this, or if you have a standard corner rounder, you could use that too. The other side of this punch, so you saw that side was the side that did the indent on the paper. This one is going to round the corner. So I'm just going to round the two corners just for a nice finished look on our envelope. And I'm only doing that on the long sides. No one is going to see the short sides, so I'm not worried about those. So now for real, we're getting the punch board out of the way. I'm going to bring in my 1/4 inch score tape. Love this tape. You could use the 1/4 inch or the 1/8 inch, whatever you've got. I don't have any of the 1/8 inch right now, so we're gonna go with 1/4 inch. And I love this tape because you can just rip it so easily just with your fingers. Then we're going to take the release paper off and fold in the bottom. And when I'm making my envelopes, I like to proactively put the other pieces of release tape on and or the score tape, sorry, and just leave the release tape on so that when I go to send my cards, I don't have to add the score tape again. It's just really easy to have that all set. So there's our envelope, which I just put a standard white label on it to be able to write the recipient's name. And I think that's a really fun way for people to get some nice greetings in the mail. So I hope this has given you some ideas for how to use your pattern paper within your collection packs, or how to use the cut-aparts that are within the collection packs that you have. So make sure you're going through your stash, or when you get new collection packs, you're thinking about how to use them in fun and new creative ways. So if you like this video, please subscribe to the Two Scrapbook Friends YouTube channel. Give this video a thumbs up, and we can't wait to connect with you in the comments and see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.